Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to Fantasy Premier League with FPL Wizard. I hope you're all fine. I hope you're having a great time. I hope you enjoyed the international break and rejuvenated for a very hectic and a very interesting period of FPL that is going to be coming up. So I'd like to welcome you all to the early deadline stream, you can call it. You can call it just an FPL council. But in the end, it's just I just wanted to kind of come and discuss everything that was possible to discuss today. Because there are some doubts about Mitoma, Jared Bowen, Matty Cash as well, but I think he's going to be all right. So basically, guys, just before I actually get started and answer your questions, I'd just like to show you my score from last week. So finally, after a long time, I was able to kind of manage a decent game week together, to put a decent game week together. And even in that game week, guys, like had some strange luck. I mean, the week before that, I had played Shimikash and I had benched Lascelles. But last week I decided that I'm gonna play Lascelles, as he has a decent fixture against Bournemouth, and because Simicast was kind of 50-50 to start, and people thought that Gomez was gonna start, and there was a swing of 15 points. And this season, I mean, I just can't catch a complete break. One of those breakout game weeks in which I can actually pull back a million or anything like that in ranks. But I'm just thankful to have a decent game week. That's all I want to say before moving on. So no complaints, and let's just kind of move on. And so guys, this was about my own team. I won't discuss too much because it's kind of it's been a while, and I think the players that performed well, I think everybody had them. And the only point was maybe somebody had Saliba and Shimikash, and that was about the difference between 90 or 100 points and 75. So hey Todd, and I hope you enjoy your time in Brussels, my friend. Definitely you can listen to it later as well, and if you have any pointed questions, just leave a comment and then I'll answer your questions anyway. So I mean, if you're concerned about Jared Bowen, by the way, guys, and it's just kind of Jared Bowen's, like, there's a Twitter account called X West Ham United, and this guy has got exclusive information about West Ham United, and he runs a Patreon as well. So he has said that the initial scans from Jared Bowen don't look that serious. That there is fluid in his knee, but it doesn't look serious. So but that doesn't dispel any doubts about whether he's gonna start this week or whether he's gonna be fine for the for the long term. But in the very short term, maybe he's not going to be able to start. So with the limited information, we're just kind of extrapolating. But if you don't have cover on the bench, then I would possibly move him on. If he does well, he does well. Because I mean, personally, to be honest with you, when I was wildcarding, guys, and this was the player I had kind of thought about, like a differential kind of captaincy pick in this week, and it's just all been the plan has been toppled on its head. And obviously now I'm not even sure whether I want to keep Jared Bowen, let alone captain him. The second one, I said, alright, if I don't want to captain Jared Bowen, I'll still have Mitoma against Nottingham Forest, and now he's kind of doubtful. It's just absolutely strange how this how this season is unfolding, kinda. And on the other hand, basically the move was a normal one for me. Like, I might have moved on one of the defenders to, for example, Matty Cash or even Shimikash, to bring in maybe a Crystal Palace defender. But I'm kind of having to fight with fires, totally unnecessary fires, to be honest with you. But the thing is, guys, I mean, if you kind of have cover like I do on the bench with Archer, so you might keep Bowen because I don't think he's a long-term injury doubt. So he's gonna be back maybe next week if not this week. So that's just my my opinion on Jared Bowen. With Mitoma, guys, I mean, don't go with this orange flag on FPL. He has a much greater than 50% chance of playing because he was pictured in training yesterday. There was a video of him running towards the training ground, so or maybe jogging towards the training ground. So that is something to kind of consider before deciding to take Mitoma out, right? So I hope that dispels the uncertainty around Jared Bowen and Mitoma, So who is ruled out? Fadzli, I'm sorry, I don't think Mitoma is ruled out. Yeah, Is he already out confirmed? When did this news come? Look at Fantasy Football Scout Twitter. What did they say? Just a second, guys. When did this tweet come? How did I miss it? Just give me a second, guys. I'm gonna check the tweet. Actually, I need to check this tweet. If he's ruled out, and it makes my transfer so much easier, to be honest with you. I'll just gonna Brentford, Luton. Sorry, guys. Actually, you know what? While I go through this this account, I'm gonna open it for you so that you can see it as well, so you don't get kind of bored while I'm looking at this. So, by the way, this is in no way a plug for Fantasy Football Scout or anything. Lighter says Mitoma will miss this game week. Mitoma is out for game week 13, says Fadzali. Yeah, I mean, I get the gist. Just a second, guys. Yeah, there you go. Alright, guys, so this is not a plug for Fantasy Football Scout or anything, but, just trying to get some information here. And they're a good website anyway, so if you want, you can. But if you have to choose one, then go for Fix. They are the ones sponsoring our stream. So yeah. Aston Villa, John McGuinness trained up. Yeah, there you go. Bowen, Holland, Tripper, Mitoma. Where did they tweet? Oh, there you go. Mitoma pictured in training on Thursday, Friday. Mitoma rule. Is this meme you're talking about? Oh yeah, there you go. Karo, Mitoma is out for game 3 along with James Miller. I kind of missed this news, guys. Sorry, I tried to read all the news. I might have missed it. Right. Yeah. I looked at it, my friend. Thank you so much for the updates, and we're back to the drawing board. So yes, guys, I mean, so Jared Bowen is, again, I'm telling you, don't expect him to play this game week. If he plays this game week, consider it as a as a windfall or kind of serendipity. But I don't think he's gonna play this game week. It's just that he's not a long-term injury doubt. With Mitoma, yes, he's ruled out this game week, as we just checked on Fantasy Football Scout's page. If you look at my team, guys, to be honest with you, it makes my transfers so much easier knowing that Mitoma is out. Although, like, the reason I picked him was for these easier fixtures, and all these players I picked for the easier fixtures, they don't seem to be forthcoming. So the easiest kind of move for me is to simply move from kind of Mitoma to Eze. Eze's got a couple or 3 good fixtures coming up with Luton, Bournemouth, and a West Ham away fixture sandwiched. I mean, he's on penalties, so and he's recently been back from a long injury layoff, and this is one option which I could easily consider, for going with Eze for this game week. It's pretty a pretty decent option to kind of navigate these 2-3 game weeks, and later on you can move to Palmer. And the second thing which I can easily do is kind of move to Mbumo this week itself, because I really want to get Mbumo next week, and that was the plan all along, to get Mbumo in game week 14. But I mean, if this doesn't kind of pan out the way I want to, or if I really don't want Eze in my team, then the other option is to simply go for Mbumo. And for that, if I need the money, obviously, then I'll have to take out Matty Cash, and the obvious replacement is, for me, if I don't get Eze, then I might just get a Crystal Palace defender because of these fixtures which I really want a cover for, and this is the simple plan, because there are no really good teams which have easy fixtures coming up, except Crystal Palace in the next 3, like the defensively good teams. So this is a plan which can be feasible, right? So this is what I'm thinking about. Either I bring in Mbumo just 1 week early, although he plays against Arsenal and it doesn't like make any sense to bring him. But if you look at his form, like it was absolutely insane. Like even against Chelsea, he scored a goal assist, Burnley goal assist, and West Ham United he got an assist. And after that, against Liverpool, obviously it was a different level of a game, but I can bring him early, one game week early. And if in case I end up going for somebody like Eze or Adingra or whoever I want, like it depends on whichever player I would like to replace Mitoma with, and then next week after like this game week, I'm possibly gonna get rid of Mbumo for Martinelli for Brian Mbumo. So I think it's gonna be sorted, and this will give me enough money in the bank to kind of to kind of shuffle around the pack at the back, with like obviously Chelsea having good fixtures in which we can consider Levy Colwill. Even as Fadzali mentioned, Reece James train is on, so I'm maybe not really wanna go towards Reece James. I've like since last 2 seasons I've tried getting him like 3 or 4 times, and every time I kind of put him in the team, he gets injured before the easiest fixture is coming up. So it's just he's just very injury prone, I guess, and I'm gonna try to avoid him. I think if I want to go for a Chelsea player, I think Levy Colwill is the one which really I can consider. I don't want to go for Thiago Silva or Disasi even. I would just like to go with Levy Colwill. He seems the best of the bench. Cucurella, I'm not so sure about. The thing is, Levy Colwill can play left back. He can play left wing back as well. So, the system with Mauricio Pochettino plays is not kind of, he doesn't stick with the same system. When he plays 3 at the back or when he plays 4 at the back, then there's no place for Cucurella, especially when he plays 4 at the back. When he plays 3 with the 3 centre back pairing and Levy Colwill plays at like left centre back, then Cucurella is going to play. So I mean, I'm not really interested in Cucurella. I mean, the only ones from Chelsea I'd really interested in defensively is Levy Colwill, and in the forward line, obviously I'm interested in Raheem Sterling and Palmer. I will not make the transfer tonight, Fadzali. There's too much information to be had, and too much important information to be had. Gio says Sanchez. Gio, to be honest with you, I really do not prefer to make a goalkeeper transfer, and I think Areola has decent enough fixtures going up till game week 22, so I don't really intend to kind of make goalkeeper transfer. I think it would be a wasted transfer. If I had picked him up on the wildcard, that would have been a different situation, but I think the ceilings with goalkeepers are not that high, and I personally would not change my goalkeeper until I wildcard. Nkunku I'm not so sure about. Fadzali, I think he's a great option from the Chelsea team, but I don't think Nkunku's time is now. So I think we need to kind of wait and watch. He scores 1 goal, 1 assist. He's coming into my team, no problems. But until then, we need to kind of a little chill out a little bit and let him kind of find his feet. He's coming back from a long-term injury layoff, so it's just we need to kind of consider that rather than bringing him straight into the team. I'm currently, what I really want to do right now, if you ask me, I want to just make one move and I don't want to make 2 moves. That's just what I have in my mind. If, for example, like it's just obviously confirmed that Minoma is out. If I get the confirmation that yes, Jared Bowen is out as well, then for this week, obviously, then I might just bench Jared Bowen and play Cameron Archer, and then because he has a decent fixture as well this week. Fortunately, plays against Bournemouth at home, so I can play Cameron Archer in this fixture and bench one out of Mitoma and Bowen, obviously. So if I can bring in some player from Mitoma, then I think I should be fine for this week. And also the move for next week is almost fixed, because I'm gonna just bring in Brian Mbeumo for Martinelli. 0.1 shot for Mbeumo. Well, the dreaded 0.1 is always gonna haunt us, isn't it? So Lightrace says, hey Wiz, if you're bringing in a defender around 5 million this week or next week, who would you bring in? Actually, 5 million is a very tricky place, kind of, because there's like either you have to go a little bit up or you have to go down. For example, Saliba is a great option, to be honest with you, and and Arsenal's the problem is the fixtures are out of all the teams. I think Arsenal's fixtures are at least decent, although not the best, and to be honest with you, I think this season defenders, I think except Trippier, it's just doesn't make sense to spend too much on defenders. There are not many good defenders in this price bracket at all. Pedro Porro is good, but again, the fixtures are just, Manchester City away. After this, obviously, you can consider Pedro Porro at 5.3. I think 5 at 5 million, I don't think you're gonna get a good player, in this price bracket. Yes, you can again opt for a Brentford defender, if you want. They have some decent fixtures coming up. Chelsea, obviously, Levi Colwill I just discussed. He's a decent one for 4.6 million. After game week 16, he has is just pretty decent fixtures coming up. Look at these greens here, all the good greens for Levi Colwill. George says, hey Wiz, I captained Ferguson last week and I ended up having Salah vice captain and Shimikash first on the bench. Huge swing. Oh man, that's awesome. Sometimes we make these moves and they just work out for us. I'm happy for you, George, and long may it continue, my friend. The rub of the green, the variance, the windfall. When we get it, we're just so lucky. I haven't been lucky at all this season, to be honest with you. I kind of been stuck in a unlucky limbo, I guess, something of that sort. But yeah, that's good, my friend. I hope you're moving up in ranks and finally things are beginning to look good for your team. Nail says, George, that's good jam. Are we all looking to use free hit in 18? Nehal, not really. I'm just it kind of depends, but I really don't think that a free hit is needed. I think it is easily we can navigate that without using a free hit. So guys, basically the question for my team is, thank God like Saka's fit, by the way, guys. If he was injured as well, I would have been a real pickle with 3 kind of midfielders being injured. So for me, the real question is to kind of make 1 transfer or 2. You know, either to take out Matty Cash and Mitoma, you know, and bring in a defender like Mitchell, and then just get Mbumo straight away. That's a possibility. And if not, then you know, then I can just make one transfer and get Eze, and yeah, that's also a possibility. Other than that, I mean, if you're looking for a striker, by the way, guys, I'm not going to change my strikers, but Solanke has some decent fixtures coming up. If you look at him, you know, Sheffield, Palace, Luton, Nottingham. I mean, in game week 18, he could be real handy. Fulham. So he's got some decent fixtures coming up, and he scored 2 goals against Newcastle. I mean, so that is something. So anybody looking for a cheap or a decent 6.5 million striker, you can kind of go for Dominic Solanke. Nehal says, if you get Bumo and Haaland, and your bench and injuries might come to that. If you get Bumo and Haaland, and your bench and injuries might... I don't understand, Nehal. Yeah, that is true. I mean, I think Haaland should be fine from what the news is coming out. But if Archer needs to come in, I'm pretty happy with that. Oh, if you mean for free hit 18, if you get Boomer and Haaland and your bench injuries, yeah, I agree. I mean, I can roll with 10 players. I don't really mind. You know, for 1 week for rolling with 10 players, I think it's greater than saving a free hit for a double game week. I think this season I'm probably going to use my free hit in a double game week. I've like, for the last I think 2 seasons, I've tried to use my free hits in blank game weeks. I don't think they ever work out. I think it's just a waste, and the swing is never really that high. You always should use your free hit in double game weeks and kind of survive the single blank game weeks which kind of come around. Because, you know, you basically play chips for the upside. You just don't... It's like there's a ceiling and there's a floor. You know, you don't play your chips to push the floor higher. You play the chips to push the ceiling higher. You know, like that's the fundamental concept about risk management. And you know, Giovan says you'd have 2 blanking players in 18, so free hit 18. Giovan, no chance, my friend. I can transfer one of them out. You know, it's just easy. Or, you know, like there's like transfers to go before 18. It's just game week 14 we're at right now. You know, game week 13, game week 14. Like there's so many different options that can be considered. So basically, we can simply make transfers and to kind of navigate that game week. I mean, you can definitely plan for that. I mean, it's not that I've got 3 Manchester City players and that's the whole fundamental. If you've got 3 City players, it might really become difficult for you to navigate that. But with just one and with Mbumo as well, I don't think there's going to be a problem. I think I can find a way to navigate it. Giovan says I already answered that. Keeping Bowen. I am keeping Bowen, yes. I mean, as long as we don't get a follow-up news about Bowen, which says that he's a long-term injury or a doubt. As long as he's just out for 1 game week, I'm happy keeping him and playing Archer in place of him. That's, you know, yeah, that's a given, my friend. Guys, again, the concept of ceiling and floor, which I was talking about, is just... check your previous seasons, see whenever you played a free hit in a blank game week, how much you gained from that and how much you could have gained from playing a free hit in a double game week. Every time I've had a great season in this in an FPL, I've always played my chips for the upside. I've never played them for reducing the downside. Just remember that, you know, playing a free hit in a blank game week does not give you that many options. It doesn't give you that many options to kind of, to go for the upside, because the options are limited, and even the people who are kind of do not play the free hit, they'll have the same captain as you do. So the upside becomes so limited, and I have come to the conclusion that as long as you're not stuck with like 4 or 5 players in a blank game week, or or 4, 5, 6 players, I don't think you should play your free hit in a blank game week. That's just my observation. I can go wrong. Everything is going wrong this season, by the way. It can go wrong still, but that's been my long-term observation. You're welcome, MT. Always welcome. Haaland captain then was, well, yes, Jugs. I mean, that's what I've been considering. There's not many good options anyway. But the ones which I had brought in my team, thinking about this game week, that I'm gonna captain Mitoma, I can captain Bowen. They all vanished in the space of this international break, and I've got no options really. So yeah, it has to be Haaland for me. If you're thinking between Salah and Haaland, then I would obviously, because Haaland is the home player, and I would pick Haaland. I think it's going to be a very tight game between Liverpool and City. The two teams in great form. And to be honest with you, I was a little surprised to see that Liverpool have conceded just 10 goals this season, and that's the same as Arsenal, whose defense gets so many plaudits. And Arsenal have conceded 10 goals, and Liverpool have conceded 10 goals as well. So it's pretty neat, the Liverpool team. I think they're going to challenge for the title this season, the way they've been playing. George says free hit and a blank depends on how template the best picks that week are. Liverpool versus Arsenal and City blanking makes it a good week, in my opinion. George, the thing is, it depends on how many Arsenal players you really have. And for example, if you've got one Liverpool player and one Arsenal player, I think it honestly doesn't make a difference. Yes, I mean, if you've got too many, if you've got like 3 Arsenal players or 2 Liverpool players or 3 Liverpool, I mean, that's when it makes sense. But still, I'm telling you, what we do not consider, George, and I'm gonna tell you this, I've thought about it many times, I've made a mental note about this many times. What happens in these big games, that we do not consider their players as having a good fixture. On the other hand, I mean, if you look at the previous record, these big players have a tendency to actually perform well. For example, Bruno Fernandes, Salah, Haaland, these players have a tendency to perform well in the big fixtures, but just because of the complexity of the mind, we just do not consider these fixtures to be a good one for the big players. We think that alright, it's a 4 on the FDR. For example, who would say that this is a good fixture for Haaland? Obviously, Liverpool is 4 FDR. Yes, it's a tough fixture, but it's going to be an interesting fixture, and obviously these big players want to score in these big fixtures, and this is what we kind of ignore most of the times, and we just kind of default back to captaining a player against a smaller team, even though he's not really the player we want to captain. I mean, I would technically never captain Jared Bowen or Mitoma in a standard game week, but what we do is we try to default back to these things, and it always kind of hurts. I've noticed this, and I've empirically even tested this. It hurts us more than it helps us in the course of the longer seasons. Giovan says, if you had Son, would you still captain Haaland? Giovan, to be honest with you, it's a difficult one. The reason why I say this is because I think the loss of James Maddison, I think would have the most profound effect on Son, because I think Maddison was the one creating the chances. Even if you saw the last game that Spurs played, I mean, it's not obviously the best example, but just saying, I mean, if you saw the last game which they played, it is just I personally, I do not I would not captain Son personally. I would not want to captain Son. If Maddison was fit, it is probably a different game for them against Aston Villa. So I mean, I don't know how they lost away to Wolves, by the way. you know. But to be honest with you, this just a second. Yeah, there you go. So basically, they lost to Wolves away as well, and Chelsea at home, it was just a crazy fixture. Obviously they suffered so much in that game, and this was the real game in which they suffered. And look at the psychological effect, losing to Wolves as well. Personally, I would not captain Son. Although I don't think there's gonna be a major problem. I think Son can score against Aston Villa, but I think you want to go for a differential captain in the week in which you think that people are going to spread the captaincy. This week, unfortunately, I don't think the captaincy is going to be that spread. When Haaland played Saka, or when Haaland played Arsenal, I think that was the week in which you could kind of take a risk against Haaland. That was the week in which you could, play like your captaincy around with. If you owned Salah, you should have put it on him. Personally, I think you can captain Son. I think Son is captainable, but I think the risk and reward is not so favorable in my opinion. I hope that makes sense. George says Salah is the only one, wouldn't go near any other Liverpool or Arsenal player in blank game week 18. Well, that's settled it. I mean, then you don't need to go for a free hit, my friend. If you have Salah, then that's absolutely fine. I mean, as long as you're not free hitting, I think Salah's fine. From Arsenal, even Saka is not that. Saka's fine, but if you look at Saka, not getting big scores, even against like teams like Sheffield, Bournemouth, Everton, Fulham. It's just basically a 1 goal, 1 assist kind of player, Saka. So yeah, so I'm fine with having this Salah. Yes. Lightre says got exact money for Diaby to Mbumo and cash to Gabriel. What do you think? I'm thinking, Lightres, why don't you just do cash to Gabriel and keep Diaby for this one game? That way you'll have the flexibility of making 2 transfers next week when you'll have more information about what's happening. I don't even really think you need Mbumo this week. Mbumo's got a tough fixture. So why not just do cash to Gabriel and wait for Diaby to Mbumo for the next week? Because Tottenham are not in the best of state, you never know what Aston Villa can do against them. So as long as you don't think that like Mbumo can score 2 goals against Arsenal, I think you can keep Diaby, and you can even save 1 transfer this week. I got Raya and Turner goalkeeper, says Faz. That's good enough, my friend. Just play Raya. I don't think Ramsdale is gonna get anywhere near the team as of now. So just play Raya, my friend. I mean, Arsenal have got decent fixtures. You got nothing to worry about. I mean, Brentford, Wolves, Luton, Aston Villa, Brighton. I think they should keep 2 clean sheets in these games, as long as they play in the same form that they were playing before the international break. They were beginning to improve a little bit, but I think you've got a decent keeper on your hands. Raya versus Brentford. That's all fine, my friend. Oh, he's on loan from Brentford, you mean? Oh, damn it. I mean, to be honest with you, Arsenal fans actually consider Raya as an Arsenal player. People actually forget that he's still on loan from Brentford. Then you should just simply play Turner, my friend. It doesn't make a difference. When you have 2 playing keepers, just play the other one. I mean, with goalkeepers, Faz, it's not the game of, basically ceilings. It's just it's not the game of floor. I mean, it's the game of ceilings, and the ceiling of a goalkeeper is just 10 points, maybe 11. So it's not gonna make a huge difference. And if I was you, I'd just play Turner. And it's not even like Turner has a bad fixture. He's playing against Brighton without Mitoma, so it should be alright. Yes, of course. I'm sorry, guys. It skipped my mind. I just, at the back of my mind, I never actually considered Raya to be a Brentford player, guys. Arsenal just got a steal that they were managed to get Rhea on loan from Brentford, and with an option to buy. So it was a win-win situation for Arsenal. But in terms of FPL, definitely Rhea's obviously not going to be able to play against his parent. So Ramsdale going to play tomorrow. So just bench him and play Turner, my friend. I think you should be fine. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah. Avis, what are your moves this week? Abhijit, I'm gonna take out Mitoma. I've got two options, and I'm gonna wait for more news before making my moves. You know, and like for example, if I get the information. If I get the information that Turner has been dropped. Oh. There goes my hope of playing him in these games. Faz, can you share your team with me? Like if you can share your team with me, I'd just like to have a look. Personally, I mean, I think I'm not really sure if you should make a keeper transfer. Man, this is kind of a pickle. Abhijit, I was just discussing my moves. So I'm gonna wait for the information about Jared Bowen. The signs are good. If he's a short-term injury, I'm gonna keep him. If it's a long-term injury to Jared Bowen, I possibly can take both of them out for Mbumo plus maybe Eze, you know. I can take both of them out. If he's a short-term injury and we get the confirmation, I just take Mitoma out for Eze, or I'm gonna take Cash plus Mitoma out for Mbumo plus Mitchell. Fez, I get your point. I definitely get your point. So in that sense, in that case, I mean, if you've got no other transfers to make and your team looks good enough, then I would possibly just I would consider moving on the goalkeeper. Although, you know, if you want to keep Rhea for long term, I would not take out Turner and bring in, like I say, a 4.5 million goalkeeper along with David Rhea. I don't think that makes sense. Either you take out David Rhea for one game week, you know, and or you just bring in a decent enough player. For example, you can go for Sanchez for the longer term, you know, or just switch David Rhea to somebody like Areola and be done with David Rhea. But do not bring in a second playing keeper. I don't think that makes sense, to be honest with you. Having two playing keepers will just block your finances. The third option is obviously going into the game week with 10 players and not playing your keeper at all. Because, you know, when you brought in Rhea, you knew that this was going to be the problem. With obvious implication was that you could have thought that Turner was going to play, and now he's been dropped. So in a bit of a pickle. I agree with that. Thanks, Josh, for the update. I've never even checked whether Turner was playing or not. And didn't even watch Nottingham's games. Navneet says, bro, I have 6.8, best 6.8 million midfielder. 6. I would love to say Mitoma, but to be honest with you, at this price, I would simply go with the Mbumo one game week early if you really want him, because starting next game week, I think Mbumo's fixtures are the best. Luton, Brighton, Sheffield, Aston Villa, you know, obviously blanking in game week 18, and after that he's got Wolves, Palace and Nottingham Forest, after which his fixtures turn. So at 6.9 I would definitely go with Mbumo, you know. If not, then you know, I would go a little bit lower. I would look at somebody like Gordon. You know, I think he's at 5.8 million currently, with, you know, with him scoring some goals and you know, just being. I think he's now integral in basically in-house plans, and I think he's gonna be you know, starting much more games than he was previously, and. I think at 5.8 million you can think about Gordon, although the fixtures obviously are not the best, but they're at home. So either you can think about Gordon. I mean, if you want to kind of get some cash, you can think about Palmer, because after a couple of game weeks, you'll see that their fixtures are absolutely great, and Palmer keeps going up in price. He was 4.9 million when I wildcarded, and now he's 5.2. So that is another option, but that's for the longer term, you know. But otherwise, I mean, there is no obvious kind of player in this price range. I mean, for example, I even thought about changing Mitoma with Pascal Gross because of the fixture. You know, he's got these 3 fixtures, but Pascal Gross has just come back from his own injury, and I'm not even sure that he's that effective, you know, in this team anymore. So I think either you go for Gordon, you can go for if you have like, if you can get 0.1 million more, you should think about Mbumo as well. Other than that, you can downgrade to Palmer, you know. But then beyond that, I don't see too many good options. Adingra, again, I said you can go with Adingra, but you know, the fixtures again, the next week he's gonna play against Chelsea, then Brentford, and then the Burnley fixture. So unfortunately for the FPL managers, like, the fixtures are becoming tougher and tougher, you know. The fixtures are becoming very tough, and it's hard to kind of best cash replacement apart from Saliba. Jugs, I think you should look at a Crystal Palace defender, really. I think they're the only ones who've got good fixtures really coming up in terms of defense, because most of the big teams, they're gonna playing each other, you know. And I mean, Pedro Porro I would consider, but even Porro doesn't have a good fixture, like, because he's got Aston Villa this week. Obviously he's playable, you know. If you can manage to kind of survive without him for 1 game week, then he's got like some decent fixtures coming up. Obviously Newcastle is again not the best, but because he's got some attacking threat, Pedro Porro, you can play him in these fixtures as well, you know. So Aston Villa, West Ham, Newcastle. But if you don't want to get Porro, you know, you can think about Mitchell, because at least he's got these, like, he'll survive you in game week 13 and game week 15. He's got decent fixtures. You can play him against West Ham as well if you want to, but after that he's got these 2 really, really bad fixtures. That's the issue with getting Mitchell, you know. The third option is to get a Brentford defender, you know. After the Arsenal games, they've got some decent games coming up: Luton, Brighton, Sheffield, Aston Villa, blank in 18, Wolves, Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest. I think these are the ones which you can definitely get, you know, go for. Best cheap defender to replace an injured 4.0. To be honest with you, George, I think Taylor is the best one. That is why I picked him up on a wild card. Kabore obviously is good, but the team he plays for is not that good, you know. There are no really good defenders in this price bracket. The only ones you really want are the ones who actually start. You know, it's not about having a good defender in this price bracket. It's about just having a player which starts. And you know, Branthwaite for 4 million is one. You know, other than that, obviously Kabore, Lascelles is 4.1 now. Taylor you can pick up, definitely can think about Taylor as well. Abhijit says, hey, I've shared my team on the Twitter group. Any thoughts on the transfers? Let me have a look, my friend, since we're having this session. There you go. So you've got Johnston. What a nice keeper to have, man. That's a luxury. Johnston, Gabriel, Lascelles, Pedro Porro, Salah, Son, Bowen, Mitoma. You've got Nketiah on the bench, but Gabriel Jesus is obviously fit now, so I'm not sure how much Nketiah is going to play, but it is still a decent option to have. So you've got Hishan as well. So if I was in your place, I'd possibly look to replace Mitoma, Abhijit, because if you ask me which one I want to keep long term out of Mitoma and Bowen, I'd say Jared Bowen I want to keep in for the longer term. So I would look to replace Mitoma. That is what I would do if I was in your place. And who would I get? If you have enough money, just go for Mbumo early. And if you don't and you need to make 2 transfers, then you need to kind of consider what you want to do about it. Giovan says Ansu Fati could be the new Brighton midfielder to go for. Giovan, I mean, if Mitoma was seen training and running, I'm not even sure how long Mitoma is going to be out for. You know, that's the whole issue, my friend. But I mean, I'm fine. I'm fine with Ansu Fati. If I was sure he's going to start every game, is going to play a lot, then Ansu Fati was. I mean, when Brighton signed him from Barcelona, I was very excited for him. But seeing how much he's been playing and how De Zerbi's been using him, I've not been too excited with that, you know. But he could be a decent option. I mean, Adingra could be fine as well. Adingra has been much more regular, you know, and he scored a goal in the last game as well. You know, and that's the issue. And on top of that, when Evan Ferguson plays, they play a different formation. When he doesn't play, then they play this a floating or a false 9 formation. So there's lots of things going on with Brighton. So if I was you, the first player I would consider from Brighton is Mitoma, and the second one would be, you know, really it would be Adingra. Beyond that, I really would not consider their players. Pascal Gross, yes, but he's a boring pick. Not very exciting. Doesn't do too much. So yeah. Navneet says I got in Palmer, bro. Nice, Navneet. I mean, you got him in a couple of game weeks early, but I mean, if he can score a penalty against City, he can play well against that team. Why can't we expect him to do the same against the lesser teams? So I think that's a good option and saves you some money as well. Jug says Maguire it is then. You want to go for Maguire? I mean, he's been doing well the past few weeks. Yeah, I mean, United been keeping clean sheets and all. So yeah, you can go for him, yes. For me, I just got you know, bad memories of Maguire at United, so I just don't really want to get him. But yeah, he's an option for sure. I considered him on wildcard. If I had money, I would have got Maguire in place of Taylor. But yeah. Any news on Cash? I think Cash should be fine, Navneet. Yes. Abhijit says thanks. You're welcome, Abhijit. So yeah. I mean, Matty Cash is a strange one. Fabrizio Romano's tweeted, he says Mason Mount picked up an injury as tests took place today in order to understand how long he won't be available. I don't know what's up with Mount and United. Ever since he's joined United, I think Mason Mount has been just, you know, I never saw him that much injured at Chelsea, but ever since he's joined United, maybe it's a hoodoo or something. I don't know what's happened with him. He's just continuously been injured in and out of the team. You know, he comes back, plays a couple of games, get injured again. I don't know. But I thought personally when they signed him, I thought he was a really good signing for United, Mason Mount. By the way, hang on, Jugs. I want to show you something. You're going to enjoy this. So I was reading this Fabrizio Romano tweet. Yeah, look what came up. Hang on. Not Scout. The second, where is Fabrizio Romano? So look at this. Eric Ten Hag on the Varane case. He says, when you have to decide between 2 players who are brilliant, Varane and Maguire, then you have to make a choice. All the rest is just rumors. You know who he's going to choose, right? Choose between Varane and Maguire. It's like you can't even take the name of the players in the same breath. What is he talking about? It's insane. Let's see what he does though. It would be interesting. How would Varane feel getting dropped to Maguire? That's the question. I don't really know. So guys, basically it's just Ahmed. I think it's Faz. If you want, you can post your team. You know, I can have a look at your team. since you have like a non-playing keeper and a keeper who's getting, not played due to his parent club. So if you want, you can share your team and I can help you. Else you can go with 10 players, my friend. That's all needs to be done. So guys, if you have any more questions, please let me know. I mean, we've addressed like 2 or 3 of the most important topics. I think Jared Bowen and Mitoma. I think Mitoma is not a long-term keep personally, if you ask me. Obviously if you can afford him, or if you can keep him on the bench, and you have Archer to cover for Mitoma, and you don't have Jared Bowen, yes, you can keep Mitoma. Is obviously a great player, and when he has a decent fixture, you can obviously we have to play him, and I was even considering him for captaincy in this particular game week. But if I had to choose between Bowen and Mitoma, I'd possibly transfer out Mitoma and keep Jared Bowen. That's what that's one. And again, from the news which we can gather, Mitoma and Jared Bowen, both their short-term injuries, but Mitoma is definitely out for this game week, as we read from Roberto De Zerbi's press conference notes. But Jared Bowen, we're still not sure about. But if you ask me, I would not count on Jared Bowen to play in this game week. So I would not consider Jared Bowen to play. If he plays, consider it as a windfall. If he doesn't, then if you have somebody like Archer on the bench, I think you can keep him on the bench. So that's the first major problem that we were dealing with. Secondly, Matty Cash, which I think should be fine. So if we just hop onto kind of Twitter again and see if Am I Jump the Wave has given us predictions. So they've done predictions for Chelsea. Let's see what they think is going to start. I think Brighton, they think Ferguson is 55%. Buonanotte. So you see here, Adingra has not been primed. So Mitoma is not going to start. So the Buonanotte, they think, is going to take his place. Adingra, Lallana, Gilmore, Baleba. You see there's Pascal Gross. They're now showing on like this left back spot. I don't know what's going on with Brighton. They can play everybody anywhere. I don't know. Weltman, Duncan, Heke are obviously, when Heke is again starting, they've got this another defender. I can't just recall his name. The other central defender which actually starts for them is out as well. So it's just a very, very patched up team, and I would not possibly look to kind of replace Mitoma directly with Adingra, because it's just a very patched up team, not looking too good. With Chelsea, I think it's fairly straightforward. The only main change from the previous game weeks, or from the start of the season, let's say, is James is obviously, after his injuries, coming back. So no more cheap right backs for Chelsea. Sterling, Jackson, Palmer, fairly standard. Enzo, Gallagher, fairly standard. Again, Chukwueze is back, I guess, and Caicedo is obviously, I think, a doubt, which is why they're kind of mentioning him, but never gonna know for sure. Let's see if where are the, if I can find the percentages, I think that would be much better. Just a second, guys. So they have posted the commentary for most Liverpool prediction. What is the prediction? Sorry guys, I'm sorry. I'm just where they've posted. Yeah, there you go. Aston Villa, Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea. There you go. So yeah, Gallagher, Cucurella, Colville, Chuck. Oh, this is. Guys, I'm sorry, I'm not able to read the name. Ugo Chuko, whatever his name is. So this is the player, and So Sanchez, James, 100%, Disasi, Silva, even Colville and Kukurea, people are confused, but I think Colville is going to start here, no problem. Then there's midfield, uncertainty about because Caicedo is going to be out, so this another player could start here. And Gallagher, Enzo, they're fixed. Caicedo, even if you see that the fans think that 76% chance of Caicedo starting for Chelsea. Mudryk, obviously no chance. Jackson, Sterling and Palmer. So I think Chelsea's box, fairly standard. I think it's absolutely not an issue with Chelsea. With Spurs, I think the team is pretty much fixed. I don't know what's the doubt about. Obviously the keeper, Vicario, Udogie, Davies, Dyer, Poro. I think they're all fairly standard. Kulusevski. Yes, there's a doubt about Sarr and Lo Celso, but I don't know why they think that Lo Celso is going to start over Sarr. Maybe because of the creativity, because Madison is now out, so they might be kind of predicting and Lo Celso to kind of get the start for the creativity. Along with that, obviously Rodrigo Bentancur is back, so he plays in the same position as Sarr, so they might be expecting for Bentancur to start 87%, and obviously Bentancur is just a world-class player. So Bentancur, Højbjerg, Son, Johnson, they're kind of nailed on. And along with that, the one position which is doubtful, and I think the reason why the fans of, or the 48% fans have picked Lo Celso is because they're kind of considering where the creativity is going to come from if like they play with the midfield of, let us say, Bentancur, Højbjerg and Sarr. So maybe that's why the fans have kind of extrapolated to picking Lo Celso. So this is about the Spurs predictions, guys. Newcastle, obviously I don't think we need much kind of debate on that. The only debate is between Longstaff and Willock, and I think Willock is going to start this one. Other than that, Almiron, Gordon, Isaac, fairly standard. Joelinton is back. Bruno Guimaraes, Lascelles, Livramento, Cher, Trippier. Bog standard, guys. It's just the only doubt between Joe Willock and Longstaff, and of no interest in terms of FPL. Steele, Dunk, Veltman, and then the Van Hecke. And now look at the other position, guys. Look at the other position. Igor 18%, Lamptey 15%, Webster 8%, and some people even think that Pascal Gross is gonna play in that position. So Baleba, obviously midfield. Gilmore 67, Lallana 70, Buonanotte 74%, Ansu Fati 56. Crazy how you can kind of. Roberto De Zerbi is like Pep Guardiola on steroids, guys. It's insane. So this is about Brighton, Spurs, Chelsea, Liverpool. I think the only doubt would be Shimikash. So Alisson 100%, Trent 100%, Van Dijk 100%. Obviously the doubt I told you was about Shimikash and Gomez. It was the same last week, but Shimikas I benched and he scored 15 points, and this is again the same this week. But obviously we don't expect Liverpool to do much against or keep a clean sheet against Manchester City, so it won't make a difference. But for any of those who have to like kind of thinking whether they've got like defenders and they just have to play Shimikash, 36% chance of starting according to the fans. Konate is going to start over Matip. The fans seem to think, 6% of the fans seem to think Matip is going to start, and 94% think that Konate is going to start. Endo obviously not going to start because McAllister is back. Soboslai, Curtis Jones or Jota, and Gravenberch. So it is all divided between so basically Salah is the only one which is primed to start. Along with that, Luis Diaz 72%, Darwin 80%, and the other position the fans are confused about. Gravenberch 42, Gakpo 20, Jota 31, Jones 47. It is this uncertainty which makes getting these Liverpool midfielders really tough to get in FPL. So the only one which we really consider is Szoboszlai or Salah. These are the ones which are nailed on in most of the games. With Arsenal lineups, I think they're fairly going to be standard. The only confusion is going to be maybe with Gabriel Jesus playing games with Brazil, whether he's going to start or not. So Ramsdale, obviously Rea is not going to start. So one of the fans, just like me, was ignorant of the fact that he's on loan from Brentford rather than a regular Arsenal player or a permanent Arsenal player. So yes, Ramsdale is definitely going to start. Tomiyasu 66 again. The doubt between Tomiyasu and Zinchenko is always going to remain. Arteta, I think, to shut down Mbumo, I think he can play Zinchenko. He can play Tomiyasu in this game. If you ask me, he can play Tomiyasu over Zinchenko because Mbumo is their most dangerous player, and I don't think that Zinchenko is the type of player who kind of, can basically stay with such a player like Salah and all these kind of tricky wingers, and Mbumo is one of them. So I think he's going to play Tomiyasu. We've just got a lovely donation from Jugs. Thank you so much, Jugs. Really appreciate it, my friend. Basically we've I think Tomiyasu is going to play here. Ben White is obviously an injury doubt. 66% of the fans seem to think he's going to play. Saliba's nailed on. Gabriel is nailed on. Jorginho's nailed on because Partey is injured. Rice nailed on. Odegaard nailed on. Trossard, Havertz, Gabriel Jesus and Nketiah. Only Arteta knows what's going to happen here. So I just... I personally, if you ask me, somebody was saying, I think Fadzili was the one who was saying that Martinelli is going to get benched, but I don't think that Martinelli is going to get benched, even if he played for Brazil or with his travels. I think Arteta needs Martinelli in this game. I think Brentford away is a very, very difficult game for Arsenal, and the juncture at which the league table is at and where Arsenal are at, I don't think that Arteta is going to bench Martinelli. So guys, the only doubt is, we're not really concerned, but I think Abhijit, maybe somebody like Abhijit who owns Nketiah should be concerned, because 7% of the fans only seem to think that he's going to start. If you ask me, I think Jesus is going to start in this game. Manchester City, guys, bog standard, no changes. Ederson, Ruben Diaz, Guardiola, Akanji and Ake 18 to 82%, but if you ask me, I think Akanji is going to start this game. Walker 100%, Bernardo Silva 100%, Rodri 100%, Kovacic, Doku. I think if Bernardo Silva and Rodri start, I think there's less chance for Kovacic and Doku. Look, here's the change up. See, Doku scored like 20 plus points in that game, and I think it was it against who was it against? 22 points. Oh, Lighter says thanks to his May the Arrows be green 5 a.m. in Sydney. Lighter, the arrows are definitely gonna be green, and thank you so much for staying on this stream for such a long time, man. I just really appreciate you for all that, and sorry I can't be here for the deadline stream tomorrow, but obviously it's gonna be back regular streaming next time before deadlines, my friend. And thank you once again, and have a good night and sweet dreams, and may the hours be green. Light rays, sleep well, my friend. I was just gonna be wrapping up the stream, guys, but this was interesting to discuss the players, so I'm just gonna go through. So Grealish is gonna start according to the fans, guys. Haaland, Alvarez, all bog standard. Foden, some of you might be interested in. Fans think he's gonna start. Let's quickly go through the team. Aston Villa. For all of you who are interested in Matty Cash, 100% of the fans think that Cash is gonna start. Martinez, Gonza, Torres. By the way, guys, this is Torres is gonna start, and Dean is gonna start with Douglas Luiz, Telemans, Boubacar Kamara, McGinn, Diaby, and Watkins is going to start in this fixture. I think it's standard. The only doubt I think was people were thinking that whether Zaniolo is gonna start or not, or whether Dean is gonna get played further up. So I think here's the answer from the fans, that Zaniolo's got 11% chance to start. Manchester United, this is good news for you, Jugs. I think 100% of the fans seem to think that Maguire is going to start, although the comments by their manager might put doubt in the mind of many of these fans. If I was to get a United defender, I'd possibly go with Lindelof. I think he seems to be the most nailed on defender for them. Mount obviously is out. Amrabat is going to start. Other than that, it's fairly... Rashford's going to start. I don't think Martial's going to start. I think it's going to be Garnacho, Rashford, and if Rasmus is injured, then I think he's going to start Anthony. I'm going to start Rashford as a striker. There we go. I think we've covered most of the commentaries which they had made. Yes. Yeah, there you go. Garnacho, Rashford. Martial, I'm not so sure, guys. Never know what's going on with Martial. So, alright, I guess we've gone through most of the teams, most of the predictions, and most of the commentaries. Hopefully that'll give you some idea of what's gonna go on tomorrow. Worth getting in Mykolenko as the 4th, 5th mid. Mykolenko is a defender, isn't he? George, I think he's listed as a defender. He is a defender. Plays at left back. Yeah, Mykolenko, 4.4 million defender. There you go. You can get him as a fourth defender if you want that. If you're asking me that, But if I was you, I'd possibly. The thing is, why to get an Everton defender is the question. I mean, haven't we already suffered a lot with Pickford this season? But if you really want, you can get Mykolenko. If you want a cheaper option, you can even think of going with Branthwaite. But obviously, if you ask me, Branthwaite is not as nailed on as Mykolenko. So that is obviously something. I mean, what I mean is later on he might lose his place. If you ask me, I think at this moment in time, George, you can consider a Brentford defender, Crystal Palace defender, obviously an Arsenal defender. Liverpool I cannot recommend because there's not... The problem is the uncertainty with Konate and Matip, along with the uncertainty surrounding Tsimikas. I can't really recommend you to get a Liverpool defender as long as you want to spill out the cash for Trent or Van Dijk. But their defense is like the same as Arsenal. 10 goals conceded by Arsenal, 10 by Liverpool, 12 by Manchester City. Why not get Colwill early? Yes, you can get Colwill early. Definitely can. I mean that's an option for my own team as well. I might be overthinking it, but if you ask me, like, this is a very good ploy for my own particular my own team as well. Simply because Chelsea's got good fixtures coming up. Simply get Colwill early. Gets like 0.6 in the bank. Simply get Mbumo, and my work is done. I've got 2 free transfers and my. Oh, George says still got my wild card, so you don't need to. Yeah, then that's fine. Then you can play for the upside. But when you chase upsides, I don't think the defender transfers are the way to chase upside, my friend. I mean, you should maybe think about getting Eze or Solanke. These are the moves which are going to chase upside for you. I think getting a defender is just kind of cover, and that's about it. So guys, if you have any more questions, please let me know. Otherwise, we can end the stream. Because the thing is, I'm not going to be able to tell you exactly what I'm going to do with my own moves and my own team, because there is still so much uncertainty around what's going to happen with Jared Bowen. With Mitoma, we're sure he's out for this week because Roberto De Zerbi has already categorically said that in his press conference, right? So For my own team, personally, I think I'm going to take him out. And guys, I'm going to share my team on Twitter as well, and I'll share it on the community page of YouTube as well. So anybody wants to know what my team looks like, I'll share it like 15 minutes with 15 minutes to go to the deadline, so you can have a look. And if you have any more questions, like, you know, if you still have doubts, if you have any more questions, you can write to me on Twitter, you can send me a DM on Twitter, or you can kind of comment on this video when it goes public, the video. Just comment on that and I'll answer whenever I can, you know. So and I'll definitely answer you back if you have any doubts. So even though I'm not going to be here in person with you streaming for the deadline, guys, I'm still going to try to answer your questions which you send to me in your comments and on Twitter, and I will definitely post my team as well. So on that note, guys, I'd like to thank you very much for coming to the stream and you know, spending this time with me. And sorry for not being able to do this deadline stream, because it's my last time I missed the deadline stream. It was my son's sports day, and tomorrow it's his annual function. And when a child comes to you, a 5-year-old, and asks you very innocently, "Dad, are you going to be there to watch my performance on the annual function?" And it's just you know, the answer has to be yes. And so, you know, that's where I'm gonna be. That's the hold up, and I'm gonna be watching my son's performance watch my son's performance at his annual function tomorrow. I think Colville is fit to start, Jugs. Yes, he is. I mean, we just checked the predictions for Chelsea, didn't we? I think the 100% of the fans who actually are engaged, they seem to think that Colville is going to be fine to start. If I check, 100% of the fans seem to think that Colville is going to 78% of the fans, seem to think that Colville is going to start, and 27% of them seem to think Cucurella is going to start, which I personally, according to me, it makes it still a good option, because even if Colville is not fit for this game week, you're not really getting him in for this game week anyway. You know, you're getting him for from game week 16, and I think he's going to be absolutely fine by the time you need him. So you know, it's just if you really want a defender for these 3 game weeks, I suggest you go for Mitchell, Anderson, or Gehi. You know, as long as you don't want to go for a Nottingham Forest or a Luton defender, you know. George says Colville might drop in price tonight. Well, George, I guess, guys, you should refrain from making any transfers tonight, as long as, for example, let me just show you guys. I was about to leave, by the way, and let me just show you before I go here. Actually, just a second. I'm going to go to Fantasy Football Fix, and let's see what they seem to think about the price rises and price falls. And on Fantasy Football Fix, they've got their own price changes predictor, and let's see. I'm just going to go on this website and show you here. Just a second, guys. And thank you so much for Fantasy Football Fix for sponsoring our streams. And you know, if anybody joins Fantasy Football Fix with the link in the description, then they pay a small amount, obviously, to me as well. So guys, this is the price change predictor from Fantasy Football Fix. Let's just change it to 100 views. So Eze is definitely looking like rising tonight. Anderson, obviously Crystal Palace defender, I already mentioned. Johnston, the Crystal Palace goalkeeper, rising. Kudus from West Ham, I think people might be jumping onto Kudus from Bowen, and I think that's also a good option. Like, for example, if somebody doesn't want to go with, let us say, Palmer, or you know, you don't want to get Gordon, or you don't want to go for Mbumo early, and you want to kind of play the West Ham United fixtures. Kudus is obviously, last week I discussed a lot about Mohamed Kudus. So I think you can think about this player as well. Nicholas Jackson is rising. I don't know why he's rising. Maybe, you know, people are taking out some players, but technically speaking, I think the hat-trick against Tottenham was just you know, a one-off, and I don't think he's changed as a player. I think he'll still miss chances. It'll still be the same Jackson that was in our team from the start of the season. If you didn't have Bowen, would you buy him this game week? Jugs, who would I buy him, Bowen or Kadoosh? If I didn't have Bowen, I would not buy Bowen this week. No, I would definitely would not. Kadoosh, I might buy, yes. Hey Zara, I hope you're doing well. Zara said, hey Viz, I just joined. I guess missed most of the stream. Zara, unfortunately, I was not going to be able to stream tomorrow at the deadline. So I decided to do an early stream just in case, there were like doubts around Matoma, around Bowen, around Cash, and other questions as well. So I decided to kind of do an early stream rather than not do a stream at all. So you can obviously listen to the recording if you want later on. And if you have any doubts regarding to your team, I'm happy to help. I'm happy to stay and help. That's not an issue. So guys, Jackson, Kadoosh, Johnston, Darwin Nunes is rising as well. Surely Eze over Kadoosh on pens as well. Definitely, George. But the thing is, somebody might just want a coverage from West Ham because West Ham have got better longer term fixtures than Eze. So somebody might want a player to replace Jared Bowen for the longer term. Then you can think about going with Kadoosh. Eze, to be honest with you, he's a good option. He's on penalties for Palace, but this season, obviously, at the start, he hadn't shown that much in terms of numbers. Yes, his performances were good at the start of the season before he got injured, but the returns in terms of FPL numbers were not that good. So, as long as he doesn't start showing consistent returns, I think to keep Eze in the team long term is hard. So from that perspective, I'm saying that you can replace him with Kadoosh because from what I've seen of Kadoosh in the West Ham shirt, I think he's a much better finisher. He plays farther forward. He's a winger and he's a great finisher. If you watch that goal against Arsenal in the Carabao Cup, it was absolutely stunning. So in that terms, I'm saying you can get Kadoosh. Like if you just need a player for the next 2-3 game weeks, I think you should definitely go with Eze. I think he has the better fixtures as well. Anderson, obviously. So this is He-Chan can rise as well, guys. 93%. He can get into the 100% mark because there's still like 7-8 hours to go before the price rises. Gehi again 92%. Baldock is just because he's cheap, 3.8, the cheapest defender. That's why people are going for him. Maybe to get some money. Ward-Prowse tonight, Saliba tonight, Cole Palmer tonight, guys. It's gonna be 5.3 pretty soon. And yeah, other than that, not much. So we can now just go to the end to see who's falling. Mitoma is falling tonight, definitely falling tonight, man. So I might need to make the decision as well if I would want to take a hit on like removing Mitoma and taking a point hit, and then Eze rises, or whoever else I want to bring in, who he rises. Colville obviously is falling tonight, so anybody who wants to go with Colville, you can basically get him later for cheaper. So don't make Zara said had Cole Palmer and Shimikash on my bench last week. Zara, I had Shimikash on my bench last week as well. So Isaac, guys, falling tonight. I don't know why Isaac is falling, by the way. He's fit again and he's playing. Varane. Other notable players who are falling are mainly Colville, Mitoma. Who else? Tompkins, I don't think. Bear, Gakpo. I think that one or two. The thing is, they're not accurate predictions, but they're fairly close. So, Botman might be primed to fall. But other than that, yeah. Almiron, Ben White, Dan Burn, Cash. Cash might be falling tonight. So anybody who's like looking to get rid of Cash, I don't think he's really gonna fall. But sometimes what happens is suddenly by the time the price changes come around, the algorithm kind of senses the direction of the alpha and he changes it. So who knows what's gonna happen? Here just the predictions as to what can happen. So guys, in that chance, I'm gonna lose point 0.1 on Mitoma, and gonna be hard. The issue is with him not playing, like Mitoma not playing at all. I'm gonna have to get rid of him because can't keep Jared Bowen and Mitoma in the same team. George says problem for me is if I don't sell Mitoma to Mbumo, it means having to sell Diaby next week, but I don't want Mbumo early. George, is the same issue with me. For example, like I can sell cash and I can sell Mitoma, um, but to get Mbumo early. But for me, I personally don't want to do it because when I sell Martinelli, it will give me more cash to move to a better defender. The second option for me obviously is to go for Cole Palmer. It's the easiest one because he's got good fixtures coming up. He's playing in every game. The problem is the fixtures are not that good, and it gives me an option later on to move to Cole Palmer from Eze. The only problem would be is gonna have to buy him for more, because he's gonna rise. Look at these scores. Ever since he's regularly started playing 5, 12, 6, 2, 12, 6. I'm in a 4.9 million player. When I was on a wild card, he was basically a 4.9 million player. So yeah, that is the whole point. And I get where you're coming from. You don't want to get Mbumo early, but if you made up your mind on Mbumo, then you can get him early as well. For me, it's about the value. If I get him for Martinelli, it gives me a chance to get another defender for cash. It even gives me a chance to get Trippier for cash, for example, if I want him. Trippier's got some decent fixtures coming up as well later on, starting game week 15. So I can go for Trippier as well if I want him, because Trippier has punished me no end this season. But the issue is, that is why I don't want to sell cash for basically for Mitchell and get Mbumo early. It doesn't serve my purpose in this game week or in the next, and that's the whole issue. So I'm gonna have to mull over as to what I want to do. But I think getting Palmer, I mean, if we know that Jared Bowen is injured as well, who knows? I might just transfer him out for Palmer anyway. If he's out for the longer term, because like, if he doesn't play in these two fixtures and he's fit for the Spurs away fixture, it doesn't really make sense for me. Because by that time the game week comes around, I think Palmer is gonna have good fixtures coming, and we're gonna have to bring him in because his ownership is gonna skyrocket. It's just 9% now. By that time, it's gonna go to 25%. Mitoma has trolled me whenever I owned him. He's on yet to score a goal for me. There are some players who give you that feeling. I totally understand where you're coming from. And the second option obviously is to kind of bring in Palmer straight away from Mitoma and not even think about Eze. And that is obviously an option, but that doesn't give me a good player for the next game week, if you see where I'm coming from. For example, my playing 11 would be Archer. I mean, if he has some fluid in his knee, says Jugs. Yes, Jugs, I mean, that means that's the synovial fluid that actually comes in your knee when you hurt your knee or you hurt some part of your ligaments. That's when the fluid is observed on the MRI. That means he has some kind of an injury because there's fluid in his knee. But that doesn't mean that it has to be a severe injury. Even a very minor injury can cause that fluid as well, and the inflammation. But is he going to be able to play? I personally don't think so. So that's where the situation is at right now. But I think have to make transfers early, to to kind of keep my team value, because my team value is already not really good. My team value has suffered a lot this season, especially by not owning players like Trippier and so on. So basically, I might just go for Cole Palmer. Simple as. Don't need to. Because the performance of Chelsea against City was just next level. They beat Tottenham. They beat City. Yes, they lost to Brentford, but that's just a different story. But they drew against Arsenal. Their form has been improving slowly and gradually, and Palmer has been one of the main reasons for that. So I think he's a low risk kind of player, and this will give me some cushion in terms of team value as well. And yeah, so that is one option that we can consider. Simply, not overthinking this. Kind of going with Eze and then changing and so on and so forth. So yeah, we can go with Cole Palmer as well, and that gives me the option whether I want to make, for example, see guys, next week my transfer is fixed. I just need to take out Martinelli, and I have to bring in. Will Palmer still be on penalties with Nkunku back? George, it's hard to say, but I think as long as he doesn't miss one, I don't think they're gonna just straight away take him off penalties. I mean, that is an interesting question to consider, but it's a hypothetical one, because we don't really know what's gonna happen as long as it actually manifests. So until that, for example, we've been kind of waiting to see who's on penalties for a lot of the teams. For example, Tottenham and so on. So it's just speculation at this moment in time. But I think I'm gonna make my move if I feel that, and I think it's pretty sure that Mitoma is gonna fall tonight. I might make my move tonight. So guys, keep an eyes out for my tweet. I will possibly take Mitoma out and make my move tonight before I go to sleep. I think that's because tomorrow I'm not gonna get any time anyway. If my choice was black and white, I could have made it right here on the stream. But the thing is, there was two options for me to take out Matty Cash for Mbumo here, and Cash for Mitchell. I don't think I'm gonna be going that way. Although that weakens my defense for this game week, but long term I think that gives me a better structure and stability. So I'm gonna consider. I'm gonna make my move tonight, and I'm gonna let you guys know. I'm gonna send you a message on the community chat on YouTube and on Twitter as well. So guys, with that, we come to an end of this version of today's pre-deadline stream. Thank you so much for being here with me, and thank you so much, Jug, for the donation as well. Guys, I'm gonna be back streaming next week, same time, 1 hour before the deadline. So I hope you have a great deadline and you enjoy your time tomorrow. Obviously there's gonna be no deadline stream, and I'm gonna catch you next week. Till then, take care, and I hope you have a great game week in Game Week 13. May the arrows be green, guys. See you. Bye bye.